Join me on this journey of transforming this vanity. It was going to be a bleeder, so I had to use Salvation Solution DIY paints, primer, and stain blocker. I didn't have enough of the white, so I mixed in a little bit of the clear, and it worked. I did one full coat, and then I did vintage linen on the drawers and on the top, and then I used black velvet on the sides. I love using black velvet because you only need one coat. It works so great. I applied 2 full coats of vintage linen onto the drawers because I did not want any of the darkness from the wood to come through because I was going to decoupage the drawers. Golden Ticket is a liquid patina. You do have to shake it up to make sure that you get a nice consistency. It is so amazing. You can use it as a sheer coat, but because I went ahead and painted the black first, it was going to give me a heavy duty coat. As you can see, sometimes you have to bang it up in order to open it, but that's okay. Just keep working at it and get it open because there's so much goodness inside of that little jar. And see, I was able to get a nice coat, just one coat, because I had painted the black on the bottom. Otherwise, you'd have to do 2 coats. I went ahead and I applied the Golden Ticket in several sections using an artist brush. I love decoupage. There's all kinds of ways to decoupage papers. I'm using Roycycle Treasures decoupage paper. This one is called Natural History. You can follow me on Chalk It Up with Leesa on my YouTube or on my Facebook page where I show all kinds of techniques and tutorials. You can also purchase this paper on my website, chalkitupwithleesa.com. The links are in the comments. So I applied 2 really generous coats of DIY Paints liquid patina, and I let it dry in between. So I'm just going downward and it comes right off, as you can see. All right, so now here we go. So that's it. That's how easy it is. Once your paper or your surface cools after you've ironed it on, apply DIY Paints liquid patina or Big Top. Let it dry all the way. You will see some bubbling, but when the paper dries, it will stretch out and it will become super smooth and look amazing. So for the side panels of this vanity, I wanted to add a little bit of oomph, just something extra. And so I chose IOD's Toile stamp, and I used the black ink and a brayer to apply the ink onto it. And I just did a random pattern on the side, and I love the way that it turns out. The IOD stamps have so much detail and the ink really makes it great. Now you can use DIY paint, and I have done that before, but in this scenario I did use the ink and I love the way that it turned out. What you want to do is hold it really firm and then use your other hand to apply pressure. You can lift it up slightly to see if everything looks the way that you want it to look, and if it doesn't, apply some more pressure. And then once you're happy with it, then go ahead and release it slowly, just straight out so that you don't smudge it. Hardware takes a huge toll. Over time, it becomes the nastiest, dirtiest thing that you could ever see. I soaked my hardware in vinegar, baking soda, and Blue Dawn detergent, and I let it go for hours or even overnight. And here's a quick look as to what it looks like after I scrubbed it clean. So I soaked all of these, and I didn't realize I didn't soak this one. Look at the difference. Now I've scrubbed this and I've scrubbed it, but look at the difference that soaking does. Huge difference. So this is a great way that you can paint your hardware. All I did was take a piece of cardboard, and I put the screws in it, and then I set this up so that I can paint it. Because I was decoupaging it, I couldn't do it. So I'm just going to paint them here. All right, I had used this brush and it's hard. I just sprayed some water on it. It has DIY paint, so it's water reactivated, and you see how easy that was. So all I'm gonna do is start painting the hardware. I'm gonna do it in black, and then I'm actually gonna add some gold. So this allows me to get all the crevices, all the sides. I took a craft knife to poke a hole so that I could figure out exactly where my hardware should go. So then all I had to do was line it up and push it through, and it went in very easily. Big difference, huh? I went ahead and used a well-used sanding sponge to just flatten everything up and smooth it out, and also just to take away some of the harshness of the ink. I wanted it to look faded, and I went ahead and I did the entire vanity. I did all of the sides and I did the top so that I could get a nice smooth finish. So I decided that I didn't like the white top, and I put tape all around the edge to do like a stripe, and I was going to paint the inside black. So in order to get a nice crisp line, I went ahead and dry brushed white and then let it dry, and then I went ahead and applied the black. Again, I'm using black velvet and vintage linen on this piece. Took the tape off right away, and I looked at it and I hated it. So I went ahead and applied black velvet back in, and sometimes, guys, it's just a process. So now it's time for waxing. I use DIY Paint's clear wax. It's buttery smooth and it's amazing. I'm using it on black paint, so I don't want to contaminate my jar of paint. So I always scoop some out and use my lid. I'm using the Paint Pixie wax brush, and I go ahead and grab some wax and I just get to it. When you apply the wax onto your piece, it's going to come to life and it's going to give you a nice durable finish. I wanted to add some white wax to it, so I do that after I do my clear wax because it allows me the ability to wipe back what I don't want, and it just gives me flexibility. So I just apply a good coat. I use a lint-free cloth and I apply back what I don't want. And as you can see, the white wax goes into the crevices and it really pulls out the details. You can clearly see the left and the right side comparison. I also wanted to use some white wax on the paper. I wanted to dull some parts down, and so I applied a heavy coat of the white wax just to dull down some of the font and just make it blend a little bit better. If you wanted to change the color of the paper, you could actually apply a colored wax. This is so flexible. You make it your own. I love these papers and I love mixing it with DIY paint. I also applied some white wax on the center of the panels just to add a little bit more dimension and worn look, and I love the way that it turned out. Be sure to subscribe to DIY-aGoGo to find lots of cool tutorials from lots of different DIY paint retailers. Also, be sure to go on DIY-aGoGo.com and DIYPaint.co.